Hi friends, it's Unicorn, and today I was planning to do another episode of the books that I recommended to my friends on International Women's Day in the previous years. But I decided to postpone it for next time and talk about something that I cannot not talk about. My point of view in this video may be not as deep as some experts, but if I'm not doing this video, I cannot make peace of myself making videos ever again. Last Tuesday, 8 people were killed in Georgia, including 7 women and 6 of them having Asian descent. The gunman was later described as having a bad day by the Captain J. Baker, the spokesman of the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. On the following day, an elderly Asian woman was attacked by a middle-aged white man on Market Street in San Francisco, so she defended herself using her walking stick, where the witness, another middle-aged white man, described the woman who was being attacked as an angry woman with a stick in her hand, and described the attacker as a guy on a stretcher. Even though the media was still hesitant to report these incidents as hate crime, we cannot ignore the fact that over the past year, there were more than 3,800 hate incidents towards Asian in the US. As you guys know, I'm a Chinese living in the US. So of course my friends are worried about me and they message me to see if I'm okay and also urge me to stay alert if I'm outside. That reminds me how the fear of danger evolved over the years. When I first came to study in the US, my friend and I were more worried about getting mugged on the street. And I was recklessly enough to pick up strangers on the street and give them a ride just because they were walking under the hot sun in Texas. And last year, I took off the lucky sign for Chinese New Year after COVID hit because there's so many hatred falsely directed to Asian people, especially Chinese. And now my family and friends are worried about me because of the hate crime towards Asians. A little over a year ago, I read a book that stayed with me until today. It's called The White Devil's Daughter: Women Who Fought for Slavery in San Francisco's Chinatown by Julia Flynn Saylor. It's talking about the history of San Francisco's Chinatown during the first decades of Chinese immigrations, where the Chinese Exclusion Act was still taking place. A lot of Asian women are trafficked to the US, working as slaves at the time. There's one thing in particular that stayed with me in the book. That is, after the 1906 earthquake in San Francisco, the city was destroyed. A lot of people lost their homes and a lot of buildings needs to be rebuilt, including the San Francisco Chinatown, where by then, as a small area, lived majority of Chinese workers, where they also have no other place to go. But the local government at that time saw this as an opportunity to relocate the Chinatown, and eventually they wanted to get rid of it from the city. In the danger of losing homes, the first Chinese newspaper spoke up and reminded people as citizens and residents they had the rights to choose where to live. So people, especially Chinese people, they stopped their merchants and negotiated with the landlord and insurance company and rebuilt the Chinatown on its original site before the legislation department can do anything to their homes. And now the San Francisco Chinatown is one of the biggest tourist attraction in San Francisco. The story stuck with me just because before I kind of took the opportunity of traveling around and study abroad as granted, and never really think about why and how I was able to do this. Even when I visited San Francisco Chinatown, I was never wanted to explore its origins and history. But if it's not those people who fought and suffered before us, we will never have the opportunity to see the things and learn the things that we learned today and experience the world. And I will never have the opportunity to be the me that I am today. History like the Chinese Exclusive Act, or how the San Francisco Chinatown was rebuilt, or even the Japanese internment camp during the Second World War, were not something that we talk a lot today. But the discrimination against Asian people never went away in the US or other places in the world. Something that I learned in recent years, especially the recent 4 or 5 years, is that we are greatly impacted by the history and we're still writing our history. We should never take anything as granted because nothing is free and we should appreciate them. But with that being said, I find myself questioning and thinking more and more about, are the things that I do valuable? For example, this month is Women's History Month, so I talked a lot about feminism and books. And also we see on the market there are so many products and the services labeled as feminism. But does talking about them or consuming those products really help improve the situation? Do they close the gap of wages between genders? Do they create and support women in workplace and create equal opportunity for people from all genders? I'm not sure. Same thing applied to the equality and the anti-racist against the AAPI community. After the Atlantic attack, the Met Museum posted a post on Instagram where they said they stand in solidarity with the AAPI community. And I see people comment and asking how many AAPI modern artists are they featuring in their galleries. This is a very valuable question, in my opinion, because when we speak up for inequality, we also need to see the systematic discrimination behind it. And as individuals, we need to ask ourselves, did we practice the action that helped equality in our daily lives? So I don't want this video to be another video where I sit here and talking to you how important racial equality is, because we all know that. I want this video to be a reminder to ourselves where I steal one of the quote from Chanel Miller's book, Know My Name, and modified it as, when people are being racist, other people die. I want this video to be a video where I remind ourselves that we can take simple actions in life to improve the situation. So I'll link some resources down below about how we can help and how we can further educate ourselves, including the links to the donation to the immediate needs and the racial equality education. And also, I have some simple suggestions. The first thing we can do is to further educate ourselves by reading articles and books and looking at the researches. For example, one thing I learned this time is we all heard of the phrase model minority about Asian community. But what we need to know about model minority is that Asian community was trapped in the stereotypical thoughts and less likely to speak up for inequality. Because model minority is all about fit in and be more accepted by white community. And also the concept of model minority blocks the interracial and inner community dialogues too. The second thing we can do is to always remember to respect others. For example, we can always try to pronounce people's name right and never ask a person what they go by if they introduce themselves with the pronunciation that is hard for you to pronounce. Remember that in some Asian cultures, people have multiple characters in their first name or last name with a space in between. None of the first name or last name should be shortened as middle names, and always spell them right if you're writing about them. Remember that even when we're talking about Asian community, a lot of people are still being underrepresented. For example, in book community, notice that when we're reading Asian literature, the majority of books we read are from East Asia, and the authors and books from West Asia and South Asia, for example, are still being underappreciated. Think about the reason behind it. It's all because capitalism and also the economical stronger countries are getting more spotlights. So we need to remember and respect the diversity of Asian community just as we respect and remember the diversity of other things in the world. Speak up if you see any inequality towards Asian people, and also report the hate incidents to the stopaapihate.org. Review and revisit your working and living environment. Is there any systematic discrimination that you didn't notice before? And one thing that we book people always can do is to read more books by Asian authors and about Asian cultures. So I'll link a video that made by Alex from What Page Are You On, where he talks about the Asian books and Asian authors he likes. I found his view very educational because he's talking more from an Asian American perspective, and it's very different from mine. So I really highly recommend you to check his video out and know more about the books that he talks about. And also I found some interesting podcasts and book clubs about Asian books that I will link down below. As for myself, I always wanted to do a read around Asia thing. I actually wanted to launch this project last May, where it was Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. but I wasn't active here on BookTube last year, so I didn't do that. But what I will for sure doing this year is, starting from May, I'll pick one culture each month to read about and discuss it with you guys. It will be a casual thing where I mostly wanted to educate myself, but I more than welcome you guys to join me. And also because I'm doing Invisible Cities, I'll try my best to have the culture that I picked match the country that Invisible City picked each month if there's an Asian country on their list. And I'll post more information about it coming to April. And if you want to participate or even if you want to co-host this event with me, please feel free to let me know because we're never in here alone. I find it's very difficult to have a closure to this video. And I hope after I make this video, after you watch this video, the discussion about Stop AAPI Hate and racial equality doesn't end. And that's all for today. Please check out the resources that I linked down below. Say hi in the comment and tell me if there's any suggestions you have of how we can do better. I hope you find this video somehow meaningful. Thumbs up to it because it's very closely, dearly to my heart. And I hope you enjoy reading. Stay healthy. I'll see you in my next bookish video. Bye.